Have you ever wondered how a single city could come to rule so much of the known world? This is the story of Rome. It's a tale of incredible ambition, power and change that stretched over 1,000 years. The Roman Empire was not just big, it was enormous. It sprawled across 3 different continents: Europe, Africa, and Asia. Imagine standing in the cold, misty lands of Britain. That was Rome. Now picture the hot, sandy deserts of Egypt. That was also Rome. From the coasts of Spain and Portugal in the west to Syria and Iraq in the east, millions of people lived under Roman rule. This vast territory was home to countless different cultures, languages, and traditions, all brought together under one single authority. The Romans themselves were honestly fascinated by the sheer scale of their achievement. They saw their empire as a world without end, a universal state ordained by the gods. For them, to be Roman was to be at the center of civilization. Everyone else living beyond the frontiers was considered a barbarian. This idea helped them justify their conquests and their control over so many diverse peoples. Rome did not become a superpower overnight. Its story begins humbly, a small settlement on the banks of the river Tiber in what is now Italy. Founded in 753 BC by the legendary twins Romulus and Remus. For centuries, Rome was one of many city-states on the Italian peninsula, governed first by kings, later as a republic. The Republic. Citizens voted for their leaders, a system to stop any one person having too much power. This period was marked by constant fighting with neighbors. Rome slowly but surely gained control over Italy. That relentless expansion set the stage. The real explosion of Roman power came in the last centuries of the Republic. Rome clashed with its great rival, Carthage. The Punic Wars. Massive fights for control of the Mediterranean. After more than 100 years of war, Rome destroyed Carthage. Rome took Carthaginian territories in North Africa and Spain. That victory made Rome a Mediterranean superpower. Roman legions marched east. They conquered Greece, pushed into Asia Minor and moved into the Middle East. All this brought vast wealth and new cultures to Rome, but rapid growth had a cost. Wealth flowed into the hands of a few generals and politicians. That led to corruption and civil war. The Republic, built for a city, couldn't manage an empire. The chaos ended with Julius Caesar. He conquered Gaul, modern France. His ambition led to his assassination. Augustus, his adopted son, ended the civil wars and became the first Roman emperor. He kept republican forms but held real power, the Pax Romana. Under Augustus and later emperors, the empire reached its largest size. Frontiers pushed to the Rhine, the Danube, Britannia was added, and in Africa, Roman control stretched from Egypt across the northern coast. A world united by Roman military power, Roman law, and a shared Roman identity. What was it like to live in the Roman Empire? The answer depended entirely on who you were. For the wealthy elite, senators, aristocrats, successful merchants, life could be one of incredible luxury. They lived in grand houses called domus and country villas, decorated with beautiful mosaics and frescoes. They enjoyed running water, private baths, and central heating. Their days were filled with politics, overseeing businesses and extravagant dinner parties with exotic foods from across the empire, entertained by musicians, dancers, and poets. For the vast majority of the population, however, life was very different. The common people, called plebs, lived in tall apartment buildings called insulae that were dark, crowded, and dangerous, with constant risk of fire and collapse. They worked in small workshops on farms, or as laborers on public building projects. Their diet consisted mainly of bread, olives, and wine. Meat was a rare luxury. For them, life was a daily struggle for survival. The government tried to keep them happy with a bread and circuses policy, free grain distribution, and public games like chariot races and gladiator contests. Between the rich and poor were soldiers, skilled craftsmen, small-scale shopkeepers, and farmers who owned land. A soldier would serve for 25 years, often on a distant frontier. It was hard and disciplined, but offered steady wages, land on retirement, and Roman citizenship. Opportunity for social mobility through service. At the very bottom of the social ladder were the slaves. Slavery was a brutal and widespread institution. Slaves were considered property, with no rights at all, captured in war, kidnapped by pirates, or born into slavery. Their experiences varied enormously. From backbreaking work in silver mines and agricultural estates to serving as tutors, doctors, and administrators in wealthy households. Slavery powered the Roman economy, and its existence highlights the deep inequalities that were a fundamental part of Roman society. So, how did the Romans manage to govern such a massive and diverse empire for so many centuries? Well, the answer lies in a clever combination of military strength, practical administration, and willingness to incorporate conquered peoples. The Roman army was really the foundation of it all. The legions were professional, highly disciplined, and incredibly well organized. Soldiers built roads, bridges, aqueducts, and forts. They also served as the empire's police force and secured the frontiers. The constant presence of legions was a powerful reminder of Roman authority and the consequences of rebellion. Beyond military might, the Romans were masters of practical governance. They divided their territory into provinces, each run by a governor sent from Rome to maintain law and order, oversee justice, and collect taxes. The Romans generally did not micromanage every aspect of provincial life. Instead, they preferred to rule indirectly, co-opting local elites and allowing them to run day-to-day affairs. As long as peace was kept and taxes were paid, local communities were often free to maintain their own customs, religions, and laws. A key part of this system was the concept of Roman citizenship. Initially reserved for men born in Rome, it was gradually extended. Soldiers could earn it, and loyal communities might be granted it as reward. Citizenship came with important legal rights like the right to trial and protection under Roman law. Finally, in 212 AD, Emperor Caracalla granted citizenship to all free men within the empire, creating a shared identity and turning conquerors and conquered into a single community of Romans. The glue that held this together was the remarkable Roman legal system, one of their greatest achievements. Based on principles of justice, evidence, and fairness, it applied throughout the empire, providing a common framework for business, property, and disputes from Britain to Syria. Alongside law, Romans built an incredible network of roads, famously declaring that all roads lead to Rome. These highways allowed rapid movement of armies, officials, and goods connecting the empire. This infrastructure, combined with strong legal and military frameworks, was the secret to Rome's long-lasting rule. The Roman Empire was not just political and military, it was a vibrant, multicultural world bringing together countless different backgrounds. In major cities you would hear people speaking Latin, Greek, Aramaic, Coptic, and Celtic. The empire was truly a melting pot of cultures. Romans spread their language, laws, and architecture, but also absorbed influences from conquered peoples, especially Greek art, literature, and philosophy. This diversity was powered by astonishing trade networks. Britain exported tin and wool, Spain produced olive oil and silver, Egypt provided grain, Africa sent wild animals, and from the east came silk from China and spices from India. Major cities were hubs of activity. Rome, with over 1 million people, filled with magnificent temples, bathhouses, theaters, and forums. So why did this powerful empire eventually decline? It faced barbarian migrations, recurring civil wars, political instability, economic problems, and devastating plagues. In the 4th century, the empire split into Western and Eastern halves. The Western Empire collapsed in the 5th century, while the Eastern Byzantine Empire survived another 1,000 years. The end was not a single event, but a long, slow transformation. Rome's history offers timeless lessons about the benefits of connection and cultural exchange, but also the dangers of overexpansion and social inequality. Romans taught the world how to build cities, roads, and laws. Their legacy is in our languages, laws, architecture, and ideas about government. By studying Rome, we're not just looking at the distant past, we're looking into a mirror that reflects many challenges and triumphs of our own time. Their story reminds us that even the greatest empires don't last forever, encouraging us to think about power, civilization, and the complex forces that cause society.